All right, and we're live, and I am here with my two frequent sidekicks, Undertone Artistic Layman.
Hello.
And,
I guess I'm the only one that's going to reply.
Okay, Luke's apparently not a demon.
The ghost train ran him over.
Yeah, and John Steele's here with us too.
Hello, gentlemen.
All right. Okay, so a lot to talk about tonight. There's a couple of articles I want to cover. The biggest thing this week, the Black Lives Matter kidnapping. And first of all, I want to address one thing. That is absolutely what it is to be called. These fucking cucks that are out there like, well, there's no official ties to Black Lives Matter. Go fuck yourself. All right? That's like saying this one particular Muslim terrorist, who was inspired by ISIS had no official ties to. No, go fuck yourself with that. All right? It's the Black Lives Matter kidnapping. All right? And for those of you that don't know, a handful of feral animals fucking kidnapped some poor autistic boy and beat the shit out of him while screaming fuck white people and fuck Trump, and they broadcast that shit live on Facebook. And
Great.
It took liberals a while to, and many of them still don't, but it took a lot of these leftists and cucks a while to even admit it was a quote unquote hate crime.
Well, you can't be hated unless you're a minority, of course.
Yeah, I forgot. It can't be racist against white people because reasons.
What a great way to kick off the first year of Trump.
Well, the reason I wanted to talk about this specific topic, why I messaged Bechtloff, whether or not he was going to talk about this, was that if they didn't live stream that, it wouldn't have gotten any coverage. Like if everything the same had happened, like all the details of it, except that dumb Dindu didn't put her phone on to put it on Facebook, it would have been like on the, back page of the New York Times or something, and no one would even mention it. It wouldn't have been.
Oh yeah, we'd be talking about it, and alternative media sources would be talking about it, and it would be getting out there because the mainstream media does not have nearly the pool they imagine anymore. But you certainly wouldn't see it on CNN. You wouldn't see it on MSNBC. Maybe you'd see it on Fox News on like Tucker Carlson, But yeah, you're right. The arrogance and stupidity of these people does them in. And at this point,
the reason I say this specifically, because I was talking to Davis Arini about this, because he wrote an article on this thing. I don't know if you guys remember the quote unquote Wichita massacre. It's about 15 years ago. You can Google it. Two brothers, I think they were called the Carr brothers, Carr, and it was like a home invasion where they broke in, and I think there was four or five people in there, like three boys and two girls. They were like college age. I know one of them was studying to be a priest of all things, and the other two were couples, and one was actually planning on getting engaged to the other. They raped the women, beat the men. They actually drove them in shifts to go to their ATM and empty out their bank accounts. Then they drove them to a football field and shot each one of them in the back of the head, and then ran over their bodies with the car.
Jesus.
Yeah. Okay. See, this is how fucked up it is. You guys don't even know about this, and you're red pill people. I mean, Undertow.
Yeah, I've never heard this.
And you never heard about this, right? So, well, plus I'm older than everybody here, but still, you never heard about this. Oh, okay. Yeah, there it is. That's it. Those are the two fucking sick fucks. Okay, this was supposed to go on that trial was supposed to be put on court TV. They didn't put it on because they were worried about, the SJW liberal types were worried about the impact it would have. And actually, court TV, if that's even a channel anymore,
it's not. It's True TV now. I don't even know what they play.
Whatever, but they actually had to shut down their message board because people were so enraged that they weren't covering it. Yeah, but still, no one heard of it. I mean, you guys can look it up now, or hopefully your listeners will look that up. Which time? Yeah, Luke's got the pictures. It was horrific. And the chick, she lived. She had a bullet in her head. She got run over, and she still survived to make it. And they thought she was going to die, and she insisted on telling her story because she didn't think she was going to survive before the ambulance got there, because she's in the middle of fucking nowhere in Kansas. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to bum you guys out, but I'm just trying to draw this parallel that these things happen and the media blacks it out. Now it's a lot harder for them to do it now because there's, you know, the internet and, you know, there's alternative media, but this shit happens. I mean, really, like, old, because, you know, Bechtloff, you were saying, oh yeah, it would have still been covered. And, you know, look at this shit. This is so horrific that but you guys didn't even know about this.
Yeah.
I've been reading for a long time now a book by, I think Colin Flaherty is his name. I don't have it in front of me, but it's called Don't Make the Black Kids Angry. And it is a systematic just look at the completely out of control spiraling black crime over the past 20 plus years. I mean, he goes back into the 90s with it. When shit got exceedingly out of hand, when we hit that spike in the exponential curve. And I say I've had this book for a long time. I've had this book for over a year, and I'm a reasonably fast reader. And I am like, I'm like 40% through it because I can't even fucking read it that long before it's just, you know, rage inducing.
Yeah, because you should just subscribe to his YouTube channel. It's just as depressing.
Yeah, it's because and he doesn't even. This isn't like your typical crime where there's a fucking rational motive involved. You know what I mean? Like, I hated this person because they fucked me over. You know what I mean? Like, this person pissed me off, so I killed them, or this person had something I wanted, so I stole it. It's not even
my wife cheated on me or something.
Yeah, it's not. It's not that kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's just vicious fucking sociopaths attacking people for the fun of it. All right, it is horrific. And yeah, it's just completely fucking ignored. Which of course makes everything worse. You know, I'm hardly an egalitarian. I'm something of a race realist. But even the best kind of people on the planet, when you remove any kind of accountability from them, are going to degenerate. You know, and we don't hold this community accountable for this shit. We don't hold people accountable like we should. This vicious fucking animal who did this to this poor retard kid, from what I understand, she's already out on bail. She's probably looking at a slap on the goddamn wrist. All right? She's going to get, I bet you, like 6 months or something stupid like that, when she should probably be in prison for like 5 fucking years at the very least. You know, you can point to cops being out of control, and certainly when you have a bloated government, you're going to have cops out of control. But you know, I don't have any, you know, these cops that just fucking shoot some of these animals. I wish they did it more often. All right. I wish fucking Frank Castle was on the goddamn police force of every one of these shithole cities. You know, I wish the chief of police in Baltimore was Frank fucking Castle. You know, was Judge Goddamn Dredd, because that's what it needs at this point. That's what we need in these places. They're out of control. I don't even care why. You know, you can sit here and talk about IQ stats and, oh, well, you know, and liberals like to say, well, they're oppressed, and a lot of us on the right, we like to say, well, they're low IQs and whatever. I don't care why. All right, get in line or you get a bullet in your head is how it needs to be approached anymore. All right, I look forward to the Jeff Sessions Justice Department. I really do. You know, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with him on everything, but you know, like a lot of libertarians are like, oh, well, he doesn't like weed. I don't give a fuck about weed. All right, I want some boots on some fucking necks at this point. I don't give a fuck about his stance on weed. I don't give a fuck if he bans, you know, high fructose corn syrup if he wanted to ban that. I don't give a fuck. All right. I want some boots on some necks already. I want this shit to be dealt with, because you know what? I grew up in a school. I shouldn't say not the entirety of my high school career, but up until I was about 15, I went to a school that was increasingly black. And when I left it, it was about 20% black, if I had to estimate, maybe 30. And already it was out of goddamn control. Already it was at this insane state of a narco tyranny where, you know, these animals would attack you because if you have fought back, you were both going to get in trouble, and they didn't care because they were always in trouble. Whereas, I was trying to be a halfway decent fucking kid and somewhat stay out of trouble. So, yeah, I've seen this shit firsthand. I've seen what happens, and there needs to be some fucking accountability. Because it's Stefan Mullen who said, white people are really fucking nice until they're not. All right? And I don't really hate any group of people on this planet. Oh, it's getting very close. I don't really hate any group of the people on this planet, but it's become abundantly clear that a whole bunch of groups fucking hate me. And I'm not going quietly into the good night. I will not see, a vision of the future that is just a fat, obese she-boon twerking on the ruins of Western civilization till the sun finally goes nova.
Amen.
If I can help it, that is not the future.
In the Emperor's name, let none survive.
So, yeah, I sincerely hope that the Jeff Sessions Justice Department put some boots on some fucking necks, because maybe there's a slim chance that much messier solutions can be avoided. And I do stress maybe. And this has woken up a lot of fucking people. It's funny. Last week we were talking about the schism between the alt-right and the alt-right and all this shit. And, Cernovich is fighting with fucking anime Nazis and all this crap, right? But it's funny that even the most cocked amongst the Trump-supporting right guys, like that Bill Mitchell guy, that's probably the most cucked Trump supporter you can find. And even he was going all like Black Lives Matter is a terrorist group and must be treated as such, like I was saying. That is also the first thing you do to fix this. You declare Black Lives Matter a domestic terrorist organization, use RICO or similar laws to start arresting the people in charge of it. D-Ray, Soros, if he ever shows his goddamn hook-nosed face in this country again, you throw them in a federal pound-me-in-the-ass prison for the rest of their miserable days. And then you go to these riots and you crack the fuck down. And don't give me that right to protest shit, because the right to protest means you hold up a sign and you yell shit. It doesn't mean you burn down a CVS or you sniper a cop or you torture a retarded boy. You can argue over the exact intent of the founders, but I think when they were talking about a right to protest, none of them had any of that shit in mind. Yeah, that fucking animal right there. Ideally, she'd be put down like the rabbit beast she is. But she needs to be spending at least a decade in, I want to say pound-me-in-the-ass prison, but what's the female equivalent of that? I don't know, lick me for some smokes prison, whatever. But yeah, enough's enough. And to the Xerxes and the Tommy Sotomayoras of the world, for the love of God, try and get your house in order. Please don't make us do it.
Yeah. But a mentally handicapped kid, who does that, for crying out loud?
Animals.
No, actually, animals doesn't cover it. Okay? Animals, animals hunt for sport. I'm sorry, animals hunt for food. All right? Animals hunt, because they want to mate, or they want food or something like that. No, these are monsters. I remember thinking that when I saw one of the, I think it was Jurassic Park 3 when I was watching it the first time. I remember thinking, I hate it when there's when there's an animal in a movie that's like the quote unquote scary thing, and they act like it's a monster. It should act like an animal. No, they don't. This is not animals. These are monsters. These are rabbit fucking monsters that need to be put down. Animals doesn't even cover it. Animals attack for reasons. it's funny. The left said that Trump would lead to hate crimes, and they were kind of right.
Oh yeah,
A whole bunch of fake ones, and then real ones against white people. But I guess why split hairs? I guess you were right.
Well, that's another thing that really annoyed me. That's why I wanted this to be. I want this kind of kept in the collective consciousness for a while. The evil that these people did was because all these hate crime hoaxes got so much press, and you just know that the liberal media, when they found out about the story, they were like, oh fuck, they just did, it was kind of like that Chris Rock joke when he says, like, when he goes, I don't know if you guys remember that old Chris Rock stand-up routine. He goes, no matter how liberal you think you are, when you hear a crime of someone like throwing a grandma down a flight of stairs for a welfare check, it's a black guy.
Well, the one thing that and it was even coming from the cops, and I mean, every cop who said anything along these lines needs to be fired. Clean out your desk. Don't show up tomorrow. Hand in your gun and your badge. Go to hell. Oh well, they were just dumb kids doing a stupid mistake or some shit like that. Kids do dumb stuff. I don't remember any of that fucking goodwill being thrown at Dylan Roof a couple years ago. Okay, well, he's just a dumb kid who fell in with the wrong crowd. No, he is a shithead who killed a bunch of innocent people. All right.
Yeah, he should burn in hell for it. He
didn't. And by the way, to everyone who is rah race war, I would also remind you, Dylan Roof didn't go into the ghetto and shoot a bunch of gangbangers. I could actually kind of respect that. No, he went into a church and shot a bunch of people who are worshiping. No, fuck him.
Yeah, it was Bible study.
Yeah, but no, nobody was all like, well, let's and these people were like, well, you can't blame Black Lives Matter for that. We blamed a whole fucking flag on Dylan Roof, all right? So don't tell me.
We had to ban Dukes of Hazzard because
we had to fucking take Dukes of Hazzard reruns off the air because of Dylan Roof. So don't tell me I can't pin this shit on Black Lives Matter, all right? So no, I don't remember Dylan Roof being told he was just a dumb kid who made a dumb mistake. So don't give me that shit. All right. No, they're fucking animals, and they need to be treated as such. Or not even animals, fucking monsters, and they need to be put down. And speaking of monsters that need to be put down, some fucker decided to shoot up an airport in Florida. I didn't even catch all the details of this yet. I believe he was going all Allah Akbar, but I'm not entirely sure. Supposedly he was Hispanic, but I think he was also Muslim because, newsflash liberals, Islam is not a race. I know that's shocking to you. I know it's confusing, but Islam is not actually a fucking race. There is one particular race that tends to be primarily Muslims. Yes, that is true, but Islam is not a race. But anyways, I'm not sure on the details of that. What I do know, and Luke, maybe you can bring this up, is that this gentleman was brown. I don't know if he was Arab or Hispanic or whatever. I don't claim to be a fucking expert on picking out fucking people's genealogies by looking at them. So forgive me on that. Point is, he was brown. CNN threw up a picture of him, which he didn't quite look brown. He looked a lot more fucking white because CNN ran this shit through a filter or whatever the hell they do in Photoshop to make this guy look white. They
that's a fake news story. It was someone was trolling. That
oh really?
Picture,
are you sure?
That wasn't him. I fell for it too, but that wasn't him. That wasn't.
Well, I mean, it's easy to fall for it because they actually did that for Zimmerman.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did it. They made Trayvon Martin. They showed like a picture of him when he was 12 instead of 17.
Uh-huh.
Well, wait, are you sure? Because I know there's a fake one where the guy has blonde hair, but I think there's a real one where there's
a picture where it's not even the guy that it was.
Well, no, that's supposedly the one that CNN did.
Okay, maybe they lightened the one where they misidentified who the guy was. I'm surprised that they would do that because they can get sued for that. By putting someone else. If you put up someone's picture and say they shot up an airport, you got
no. It wasn't like they put up a fake picture. It's just Now, again, you may be right. This could be. We live in the fucking Onion universe, so forgive me, everyone, if I'm wrong here, because I can't tell anymore. All right, I cannot tell. All right.
No, that's not. Well, the point.
Somebody could come to me
and
and tell me that last night's Rachel Maddow ended in a lesbian lover's suicide pact, and I'd be like, "Oh, really? Like, I don't know anymore." The point is, they have done this in the past. You know, they did do that on Zimmerman. That is established fact. They did actually alter photos to try and make them look lighter.
And they came up with the new phrase "white Hispanic." You never heard that.
White
before,
Hispanic. He's a white Hispanic.
And actually, it turns out I think he's a quarter black.
Nah. He's a white Hispanic. It's just. I remember that fucking Zimmerman story. So I'm like, let me get this straight. A Hispanic man shot a black man in self-defense, and that's supposedly Whitey's fault?
Well, it's all our fault. You know that everything that happens is a white man's fault.
Yep. Us evil white men doing such bad stuff like giving everybody indoor plumbing. All right, well, that's enough of that shit. And I don't really know a lot of details. I got a lot. I haven't followed the Florida thing, but I had heard this thing on them lightning them. But now John says it might be a fake news story, so I don't know. Point is, everybody at CNN is bad and should feel bad, and all the bad things in life should happen to them. In fact, every time I saw a Black Lives Matter protest, quote unquote, I always thought, like, is there a way we could like funnel them into CNN's fucking headquarters? Just maybe like two birds with one stone there.
Yeah, there you go. Because those guys would actually call the SWAT teams.
I hate CNN more than I even fucking hate MSNBC. At least MSNBC got their cards on the table with their bias. But yeah, CNN is just outright lying about it. Because look, I mean, nobody can ever be completely unbiased. That's just, yeah, you want to, part of journalism is you want to strive for objectivity and to be fair and all that. But nobody can be biased. And one of the best ways to deal with that is to admit your editorial bias. That's the best way to deal with it. So, the most biased news sources are always the ones that claim they're not. All right. Well, moving on from this, Wednesday, I believe it was. I heard this story. Could have been Tuesday that it happened, but Wednesday I heard this story because I actually had off Wednesday, and which, by the way, programming note. I did an interview with State Representative Brian Cutler, PA State Representative Brian Cutler. Who's actually the majority whip in the House, the Pennsylvania House. So do check that out. It was a really good interview. It turned out really well. That got put up live Wednesday, and I know a lot of people only listen to the Saturday show, but do listen to that. It's a good listen. And I also have another show planned for this coming Wednesday. More details on that later, but there will be something coming out Wednesday. Anyways, I had the day off. And it's funny because I actually went to Wendy's for lunch before I heard this story. But apparently, the Wendy's Twitter account is kind of based. Like they really, not a lot of fucks given. And that's really, any kind of company out there should learn from that. That's how you should approach social media. You should do so boldly and with fun. That's how you do it. You will get your product far more noticed. Arby's has had a lot of success with that kind of shit. And even the Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter has had a lot of success with that sort of shit. But they asked, like, you got any memes? And I don't know if you could throw this up, Luke. It's they tweeted out a Pepe with done up like Wendy. The rarest of Pepes here. They then deleted it because they caught a lot of shit from a bunch of butthurt leftist journalists. Wendy's is tweeting out, Nazi propaganda. Wendy's deleted it, and it's funny, they didn't apologize. They said, we were unaware of recent I forget how they put it, but like recent connotations that Pepe has, and we have deleted the tweet. They didn't apologize. So, I've always liked Wendy's. I've always, as far as fast food burger joints, they're by far the best. Even as a little kid, I used to like to go to Wendy's a lot. I remember as a little kid, sometimes my dad would take me to Wendy's, and sometimes if McDonald's had good toys, we'd go through the drive-thru at McDonald's and just order one of the toys. But like, even as a little kid, I was like, McDonald's sucks. But yeah, Wendy's is good. Daily Stormer actually did an article where they're like, Wendy's is the official fast food of the alt-right now. So yeah, go get you some Wendy's. Unofficial sponsor of the Bechtloff podcast, Wendy's. Seriously though, it is a damn good burger. You can't go wrong with Wendy's.
I'm just still stuck on the fact that the left can be triggered by a fucking
Pepe
frog.
No, yeah, Pepe will look. Any company can get fucking MSNBC coverage if they tweet out Pepe. Like I want to show Luke this one thing. Hang on. I'll tweet this out or send this to Luke.
Did you see the tweet about? I think it was Steph Amal. You put it out. It was a picture of Kermit the Frog was mistaken for Pepe and found shot himself in the back of the head 6 times or something like that. It was pretty funny.
Let's see. Hang on. Luke, did you throw that the Wendy's up yet? Have we lost Luke? I think we've lost
We
Luke.
may have.
Okay.
Because he hasn't changed anything in a long while.
All right, I think we lost Luke. All right. Let me bring up this.
Rip.
What? Oh.
Rest in peace.
Yep.
Oh, I thought you were doing a ribbit.
Well, I'm not going to try and show a picture of this tweet. Some faggot artist tweeted out this thing where he put Pepe's face on Jabba the Hutt. And like it popped up in my timeline, so I responded to it and he has like Carrie Fisher choking him, but it's like old fat Carrie Fisher. It's like Carrie Fisher would stand up to Nazis in the 2017, and I'm like, man, leftists suck at memes. Like you're not even going to go with classic slave Leia. Come on, this poor woman wouldn't want it. No one wants to be remembered as the old fat version of them. Yeah, but leftists they're terrible. they don't.
Did you see that article about, speaking of celebrities, aging? Did you see that article written by I don't even know where I saw it, by Camille Pagliak, I forget how to pronounce her name, about Madonna still trying to look young, now that she's, I don't know, what is she, pushing 60?
Oh, she's got to be almost 60 at least.
Yeah, I forget what her age is. It's not 60 though. I think it's like 59. And it was just showed she showed up to some event like wearing one of those ridiculous outfits which she had like duct tape over her nipples or some shit like that.
Yeah, I don't even think Madonna was super hot in her prime. I mean,
no, her looks weren't.
All right.
She had a nice body because she had a dancer's body, but she was like her sexuality. She flaunted it.
Yeah, she was just as low rent as you could get. So I mean, there was that to it. I mean, it was usually a video was fapping material back in the day, but
yeah, it was more about her behavior than her looks. That she wasn't like drop dead gorgeous, and she has that space between her teeth.
Oh, pardon me. But yeah, it's kind of a shame that she relied on that so much. I mean, she actually was a decent singer. She could have. For a while in the 90s, it looked like she had actually grown up and was starting to do trying to actually do adult fucking music. And then all of a sudden she realized somewhere towards the late 90s, she was like, no, I want to be a whore again. And didn't realize, no, that window kind of closed on you, sweetie. It's sort of an expiration date on that. Let's see what else we got here. let me bring up this one tweet. Let's see if I can find it. Vicente Fox, Mexico's former president, he recently tweeted out, and this is real. And again, you can't tell what's real anymore, but he's got a check by his Twitter handle, so this has to be real. He tweeted out Trump, capital letters. Got to whip out the caps lock there. When will you understand that I am not paying for that fucking wall? Be clear with U.S. taxpayers; they will pay for it. Well, first of all, I love the butthurt in his tweet here. But also, it occurs to me that I believe last year we sent Mexico something like $500 million in foreign aid. So I'm pretty sure we could just take the bill out of that. Or better yet, we'll just cut off the foreign aid entirely. We'll call it even. How about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think $500 million will cover a 6-story wall that long.
Well, we'll keep taking it out until such time as the wall is paid for. If it's gotta be for several years, then I guess it's gotta be that.
What a shame.
But yeah, that's a little butthurt about it. Let's see. What else did I want to talk about? I got the Wendy's. Oh, here we go. This is the one little article from the Huffington Post, so you know it's good. Because when I think quality, when I think this is something I need to take seriously, I think Huffington Post. All right, so a gentleman by the name of Matthew Broberg, a bit of an echo there. He wrote an article, said, I got married and took my wife's last name. Here's why. Changing my name is a significant way to show I believe her to be my equal. The brief explanation of why goes like this. She hadn't considered changing her name from Broberg. I felt strongly about our family having a shared surname. That's it. Okay. Here's the thing now. Feminists, I hate to break this to you. But you ladies, you don't fucking have last names. All right. This is not some girl powery thing. No. See, you have your father's name, and then you have your husband's name after that. All right. This guy didn't take his wife's last name because, again, women, at least in Western civilization, I don't know, maybe you could find me some other fucking culture where this is different, but women in Western civilization do not have last names. Men do. And guess what, buddy? You didn't take your wife's last name. You took her father's name. So that begs the question, why didn't you just marry him? I mean, if that's what you wanted, that's legal now. I mean, you could do it, So I don't understand here, Broberg or whatever you're calling yourself now. But you could have just married that dude. I mean, if that's what you wanted. The Huffington Post is really just absolute fucking cancer, isn't it? I mean, like, this guy has no fun. I wish Luke had not mysteriously vanished here, because there's this picture of these two on their wedding day about ready to high five. This woman looks disgusted at him, like she's about ready to cry. Like, what sort of pussy did I marry? And he looks like a thinner Seth Rogen.
God, why would you marry that if you were a woman?
Data bucks.
I don't know.
That's true. That's true.
I'm guessing here. I don't know anything about the guy. I'm just.
I mean,
he writes at HuffPost, so I mean, he's got to be making the big bucks, right?
That sweet government cheddar.
He's making some Soros money, maybe. I don't know.
Well, you know what's funny? I found out that I didn't know this, but a lot of these people who get published in these online things like HuffPo and stuff like that, all these left-wing sites, they all pretty much lose money. I don't know about HuffPo, but the rest of them all do.
Mm-hmm. Salon has not made money ever.
Right. And they actually, like, people like, I can't remember, what's the guy's name that married that chick that said Trump's guy grabbed her hand hard or whatever. I remember reading about. I can't remember his name.
I know the chick. She used to work at Breitbart, but yeah.
Yeah,
I can't remember the guy's
apparently,
name.
he actually paid these sites he was paying them to publish his work.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they don't.
You know, he's like a trust fund baby or something, and he comes from money, so he would just pay them so he looks relevant, so he can say that he's been published in the I've been published in Salon and Jezebel and whatever all these sites are.
There's even aside from these liberal e-ranks, there's a lot of that in the internet cultures and all. It's amazing that even some of the big names. I mean, yeah, a guy like PewDiePie was smart about it and has $1 million, but a lot of the other quote unquote big names, I mean, they would be better off going and working at a factory 40 hours a week. It's amazing that there's far more prestige than there is money in these things now. And a lot of people don't realize that. You see these guys, they're published in the big sites, and most people just think, oh, they must be doing really well, or they must be important. You know what I mean? But yeah, it is about this illusion of credibility. Let's see. All right. Well, I'm taking Luke off the main thing then. Just apparently we lost Luke.
In the arms of an angel.
Yeah. Press F to pay respect. Let's see. What else did I want to cover here? Also, yeah, I will be taking callers. So if you want to call in, message me on the Skypes there at the Bechtloff.
Could you do the Christopher Cantwell impression when you say, could you on the Skypes there?
On the Skypes there? The more you talk, the less I have to.
Yeah.
I love that guy's show.
Oh, Luke's back.
Oh, Luke's back. Okay, good.
He lives.
I do. I do.
Okay, yeah. Let's see. Oh, Luke, throw up a picture of the. I'll put the article in the chat. Throw up a picture, the cover shot of this article.
Alrighty.
Everybody's got to get a good look at this fucker and his wife. Look on his wife's face. It's so great. Like, she's about ready to cry. She's just like, "What the fuck have I done?"
Let's see.
You got to get this picture up, man. It's
2-1. She wears a strap on the wedding night.
Oh.
He does look like Seth Rogen.
They had to buy 3 tickets for their honeymoon because Tyrone's coming too.
What they didn't tell you in this article is that this high five was what they did instead of the kiss.
Oh.
That was good. That was good.
I look forward to the next article at HuffPo where it's like why I took my wife's lover's name when I married her.
Oh.
Yeah. Why I took my wife's sexuality. Let her know that she was my equal. We could get fucked together.
Yeah, we could both.
Oh.
We say that joking. You look hard enough on the internet, you'll find that out there somewhere.
Oh, dude, HuffPo.
Why do you? I didn't make that up.
HuffPo is a year away from that, anyways.
I did not. No, I'm serious. I didn't make that up.
Of course not.
It's yeah.
Oh.
On one of the Reddit boards, it's probably there.
Just as an aside, like all you guys are, devout Christians, and I respect that, and you live, for the most part, virtuous lives. You're not degenerates and stuff like that. But I have learned more about the degeneracy in the world by talking to you guys than I have anyone else in my life.
Well, that's just because of we're internet dwellers, is what we are, and so we see this because whoa, surfing the web. For most people, that means going to Facebook and then YouTube and then going home or for turning off the computer or whatever. I'm at my computer all day. So you never know what you're going to end up with. And I'm not just looking at things. I'm communicating with people and they'll bring up things like, oh, hey, have you seen this? So and I've been doing this for 10 years now because it's 2017, and I've been actively an internet user since 2007. So, yeah,
See, I
just have a lot of
blissfully
experience.
I thought the Hellraiser box only existed in a movie.
No.
I mean, look. I'm hardly pure as the driven snow. All right, you know, I certainly have my degenerate side, and but yeah, I have not gone nearly as far down the rabbit hole as a lot of motherfuckers seem to have. You know, I still had a tether to pull me out. Those guys just cut the tether, and they're in free fall. All right,
I'm just warning people that if you venture down this road and you find this stuff, you'll never be able to view humanity. There was something nice about having that blissful ignorance.
You know, as early as I think 2004, there was a saying on the internet, and that is, "What has been seen cannot be unseen."
Yes. Oh, that's so true. So I'd just like to say especially to Undertow, fuck you for just
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That has graced my eyes because of you, the sights that you have shown me.
We have such sights to show you.
Oh dear.
Well, I often joke that, you know, if Pinhead were real, there'd be times where he'd be like, "We have such sights to, oh Jesus." With some of these guys, don't let him open the box anymore. I don't want no part of him.
Well, that was kind of me. Like when, you know, some of the stuff that I remember like when a lot of the stuff you think it's bullshit. Then I found out like Whitney, Wisconsin was real. And just that alone was like, I can't process this. This is not real. This is.
It's real. It's all real. What nightmare? You're awake.
Oh, fuck you. You're just fucking with me now.
Seriously though, I remember, and I didn't even discover this on the internet. I saw like some magazine, I think it was like Rolling Stones, did an expose on it because they still, back then they weren't afraid to. But I remember in like 2003 when I discovered what bug chasing was.
And that's another horrible thing in which you guys never told me.
And I remember being like I felt a little physically ill. Like that haunted me for fucking days. Like God, they're doing it on purpose. Like, and I mean,
pause loads.
I still haven't watched the movie. You told me that it was actually a movie, and
I can't get through it.
I couldn't watch it.
It's not even like aren't gays gross kind of thing. It's like trying to get you to be empathetic with them. And you do for like the main one you're following as he's like breaking down, and you're like, you could have avoided all of this, you know.
Well, how are you supposed to feel sorry for? Unless he's meant, you know, like retarded or something, like, you know. But how are you supposed to feel sorry for someone that actually went out of their way to try and contract a deadly virus? I mean,
Well, because it's like, I don't know. They were drunk. They were drunk at the time. I don't know. You tell me. It's like, now they realize the error of their ways. Well, yeah.
Well, if it was like just being drunk at the time, I can feel sorry for someone who has a death sentence. Yeah, I would feel bad.
Yeah, but I mean, I wasn't. I mean, like this would go on for months.
And no. They were.
On,
I mean, not necessarily drunk at the time. That was chasing this sexual high, and they had. These are people generally where it's like they're so fucking jaded that. This just gets them to normal. So, you know, it is truly it is honestly opening the Hellraiser box. I mean, honestly,
here's a question.
I'm a big fan of horror, and of all horror movies, I think Hellraiser has the most interesting and really rings true mythos to it. Now, most of those movies are actually terrible, but some of them are really good. But most Hellraiser movies are bad. But the mythos behind them are so brilliant because holy shit, did it capture something about the darker aspect of human nature?
Well, he warned everybody not to do it, right? Wasn't that part of the mythos of it? Like, don't.
Yeah, the mythos of the Hellraiser movies is that people are drawn to these boxes to summon these BDSM demons because they're just hedonists that are at the end of their rope where everything just gets them to normal now. And they're just so desperate for something new.
Yeah, and the movie The Gift, the documentary about the whole bug chasing thing, the recurring theme, the reason behind the rationale behind it was I want to get it because I don't want to be afraid of getting it anymore. And I don't understand that rationale at all.
That's true R-type thinking.
Yeah,
that's
very
like
much
in the novel World War Z when they describe Quislings.
Yep.
Like
I remember that.
In World War, to those of you that never read the novel, and by the way, read that fucking novel. World War Z is one of the best science fiction novels of the past 20 years
it's not even really a novel so much as it is a collection of short stories, but they're all set in this one universe.
Yeah, it's
and avoid the movie because it sucked big time.
The movie has no bearing on
don't watch the movie. Read the book. The book is fantastic. You'll get one chapter.
Like, they go out of their way to talk about the logistics of developing a new standard rifle that's not fully automatic. It's specifically designed to be fired once at the head and then take your time, then take another shot, that kind of thing.
But anyways, they talk about Quislings, and what it is there are people that during the height of the outbreak basically snapped and imagined they're zombies. And nobody has been able to snap them out of it. And these people are so fucking gone that, like, the zombies know they're not real. And the zombies will eat them, and they just stand there and take it until they die. Like, they're that gone.
Whoa.
And I remember at the time thinking that was a fucking exaggeration when I read that in like 06, 07. And now I'm like, no, that Max Brooks understood something of human nature that I did not understand at that time.
I can tell you that he didn't understand anything about biology because he talked about how the zombies' blood was all congealed and dried up in their veins. Well, how are they moving then? Huh? How are their muscles getting fuel? But anyway.
All right, nerd. But actually, the one scientific explanation that I actually remember really liking is because I remember, I'd see zombie movies and I think, man, in my neighborhood, like the fucking stray cats that have these things picked apart in a week. But he actually explained that, like, even though the virus can't affect animals, the virus causes the secretion of, like, basically almost formaldehyde like chemicals that are poisonous to most animals and prevent them from decaying that fast. So that's why because like you look at like The Walking Dead, I mean, those zombies aren't going to last that long in the hot Georgia summer until there's just not enough left for them to move,
Well, one of the things I enjoyed about that book was the format of it was written as if it was like a UN after action report.
Oh yeah,
that was great.
This guy going around interviewing people and them telling their story, and that's how you get these little short stories. And
it was written almost. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember a book that was written like that. Like it was
written in such a way that it was so immersive. It felt so real. Like it felt like you were reading.
It was so dense. Every single page had so many things going on.
Yeah, that book is absolutely fantastic. And actually,
it was a really good fun read. I enjoyed it a lot.
He right before that, he wrote the Zombie Survival Guide, which is
I didn't read that.
It's basically written exactly like a guide on how to deal with zombie outbreaks, right?
Yeah,
and it's so incredibly seriously written that it's a really enthralling read, and that's why, like, when World War Z came out, and I remember seeing in the bookstores that it was Max Brooks, and I had already gotten the Zombie Survival Guide, I was like, oh, I got to check this out.
Yeah, and like page 1 is like, do not use a chainsaw. Do not use a chainsaw. Like,
why? Because the blood will get on you or something?
Yeah.
What is a chainsaw? It's loud. It's unwieldy. It has limited fuel. you're going to be drawing hordes of these things to you. You're not going to be able to like you cut off its arm. Good job. It's still swinging at you with the other arm. You know? Oh, you cut off its head. Oh, good job. It's still biting you. You know? A chainsaw is very good at killing people. It is not very good at killing zombies, and it attracts a lot more of them.
Okay, and that's why my tool of choice is a katana.
Or a machete, yeah. Like weapons like that, if you can get like both arms very quickly, and single shot rifles or shotguns. But again, you actually don't want to be using guns as your first line of defense because the noise, again, draw more to you. So there you go. If you like dealing with, if you're dealing with like one or two in a abandoned convenience store and you're trying to get some food or something for your trek towards whatever theoretical safe zone you're hoping to find, you don't want to be using the gun unless, like, you use the gun when you're in the back of a pickup truck and you've got one of them about to get on, chasing behind you or something. You know, like guns
and a full tank of gas.
And a full tank of gas, and also you would use guns as like a hard point defense, like if you were holed up in an Alamo situation and you had your, you know, strategically defended, you had a firing corridor basically. And you weren't going to be on the move, because the whole thing with zombies is keep on the move, because unless they're stupid magic zombies that can run 100 miles an hour, like in some of these movies, that it's basically like dealing with a flood, which coincidentally, I think that was why they called the zombie aliens in Halo the Flood, because yeah, it's more just like
I don't get it. A flood. I don't get it. What do you mean?
Like they're like, it's like dealing with the flood because it's just sort of this static danger on the ground. But if you're on the higher ground, you can let me put it this way.
Oh, you're outrunning the flood kind of thing, like getting away
exactly.
Kind of...
Exactly. Okay, if you're on higher ground and you see the water rising, you can get out of the way. Same thing with zombies. If you're standing there and you see a bunch of these guys slowly limping towards you, you can get out of the way. In fact, that was one of the cool things in World War Z was they're talking about how society, or not society, but building. Shut up, James. I don't care what they retconned it to be. I'm just saying that that's probably where the original name came from in the design concept.
Fucking nerds.
Fucking nerds, man. But anyway, one of the cool things that they put in
World War Z.
World War Z, thank you, was how architecture had changed so that all neighborhoods and everything were designed in such a way that every house had at least a platform on the roof and could connect to the other houses via a drawbridge. So in the event of another outbreak, you could easily barricade yourself on the second floor and or continue to move back and forth and collaborate with your neighbors and move supplies back and forth.
And a lot of houses were built like beach houses where they were suspended up off the ground.
And you could just pull the stairs up and you were fine. Because if they're not, I mean, you know, unless they have, again, magical climbing powers, you're good to go. And again,
you know, one thing I just remembered from that book, sorry to interrupt, but was the zombies that froze, and then when the summer came,
yes,
they thawed out, and
they thawed out and just kept going as if they had never stopped. The thing that was really fascinating to me, that was the most interesting thing for me, probably for obvious reasons, was the idea of all the zombies trudging across the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
I remember
they would come up on the beach. Like years later, they were still coming up on the beach occasionally.
And that was like, you know, going to the beach wasn't really a thing anymore because of that threat. They would have frequent expeditions with submersibles where they would just go with a big harpoon and just spear as many as they could along the edge.
The chemical in them that kept them from rotting is why they were able to be on the ocean floor for so long. But I remember the one where like there's that Chinese nuclear sub that's like hiding from the one that's like the other one is hunting them, because they've just said like fuck it, and they're not attached to the military anymore. They just went and got their families and they are hiding it out. Yeah. Well, one of the loyal subs is trying to find them, and they're staying on the ocean floor, And at one point, like one of the warning lights goes off, and it's because nuclear subs got to run water through it constantly to cool the reactor. Well, these zombies on the ocean floor had just covered the fucking sub and were clogging up the water intake on the reactor. So they had to either move or the reactor would overheat.
And they ended up joining this flotilla of people. We're kind of, I don't want to.
We're giving away the whole book, man.
Yeah, we are at this point.
Yeah, it's such a good damn book. Like I haven't read it.
That's
away
like
like 8 years that I remember it.
I hate zombies as a monster, but I love the post-apocalyptic logistics of everything. That's so much fun to me.
All right. Well, good Lord, talking about this all damn day. It's such a good book, though. Honestly, like go get that book.
And by the way, the author is the son of Mel Brooks.
Yeah, he is. I remember I saw him at a Philly Comic Con years ago, right around when World War Z came out. The book, not the movie. And I remember he was doing this panel on zombies, and supposedly he had gotten approached after the Zombie Survival Guide by some game studio to work on a video game, and like because his approach to the zombie genre is so hyper realistic, basically like he couldn't help him, like because he kept trying to say no, it would be like this or no, and after a while they're basically like, this is a video game, you can't. As David Zarini once said about like a realistic war game would just be several hours of boredom punctured by you getting shot in the head. But all right, what else did I want to talk about? Oh yeah, so actually I don't even a bunch of fat dykes put out an anti-Trump beer. I don't even know if there's much to say about that other than I'm sure it's as bitter as the angry cat ladies that brewed it, but I mean how do you get a beer that tastes like fucking loneliness and cat hair? Let's see. I guess I can start taking in callers.
Oh, that's what it is. Friends don't let friends vote Drumpf.
All right.
Dock Street Brewing Company.
Like if
Please don't tell me that's in Seattle.
If your pussy is this sensitive, you don't drink beer.
Oh, Reedy wants to join us. I'll send him an invite.
Oh, cool.
Let's see. All right, so I'll bring in the first caller here. And do message me if you want to call in.
On the Skype there.
On the Skype there. Bechtloff on the Skype there. The more you talk, the less I have to. Actually, and while we got a lull here, I'll go ahead and go through this week's sponsor is the independent comic Ojo Negro. Do check that out. That is available in physical and digital format, and it's a pretty damn good read. And Lord knows there's not enough good comics out there anymore. And also check out, if you would be so kind, the tip jar there, where you can send me some motherfucking ducats, because that's what helps keep this show going. If you appreciate what I do, then please, donations are appreciated. 50 of you watch.
You can give how much or as little as you want, but suggested donation is $14.88.
Yes, that is the suggested donation, or
there we go.
Just $1,488. That'd be nice too. I certainly wouldn't. If you just got that line
right now.
Davis, you joining us there? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm just getting prepared to go out for a cigarette. That is a sweater, a fleece, fingerless leather gloves, leather jackets, ushanka, and hood. Then I'll be ready to have a frickin' cigarette here in the wind-blasted hellscape of Alberta.
Okay, and we got our first caller in. What's our caller's name here? Broken. What's on your mind, Broken?
Howdy, you were calling for Cantwell callers, and you've got one. So howdy.
Yep.
I wanted to discuss the the spat going on between 8chan's poll and TRS. 'Cause it's got kind of dangerous at this point, and people need to be aware what's going on and avoid it.
I haven't heard of this. What's going on?
Yeah, could you give us a synopsis?
I'm a frequent 8chan user, but I don't go to poll that much, actually.
Yeah, long story short, TRS is now being doxxed by 8chan because of a bunch of shills claiming you kind of need a bit of backstory. Iron March and TRS had fights, and then people decided to shill Iron March and TRS on 8pol. 8pol then responded as 8pol always does with massive hostility, and it looks like the mod team's been compromised to the point where there's now Seventh Sons, Bulbasaur's, Ghoul's docs is actually put on 8pol currently and stickied at the top.
I'm convinced that there are even more bots and shills on 8pol than there are on 4pol at this point, because that place has been cancer for so long.
Yes, 4pol's basically dead, but 8pol, there's something's been going on for like 6 months now.
No, I'm saying that 8pol is even worse than 4pol, because like,
well, nobody's on for 4pol anymore. So
yeah, that's the thing. And basically all of the 4chan poll users went to the other boards of 8chan, and we just kind of have poll infused in all of our other hobbies. But the actual poll board on 8chan is unbearable.
What is the politics over there?
Extremely fascist, hard right, National Socialist is basically standard over there at this point. The issue with poll is that the mod team is clearly compromised. They will ban you for disagreeing with them, but they won't ban you for attacking other people on the right. They will actually promote you for attacking them. So people are now suspecting there may be either Intel or Antifa's in control of 8pol. In fact, one of the things we had is about a month ago, Ghoul got doxxed. Ghoul from Daily Shower, he's one of the co-hosts. He put his face on YouTube in a series, and then he got himself doxxed by one of the Antifa groups. No one's sure if Ghoul then leaked everyone else's information to get his removed somewhat, or if now Antifa is starting to dig and found more, and now they're starting to try and confuse 8pol. But what we have today is people are now saying we're better than Antifa, we're going to out Antifa by doxing Ghoul more, to the point where they've started to dig up his family. And it turns out the TRS crew have a lot of questionable history, which has lighted the fire even worse.
Yeah, shocking.
You've got Seventh Sons in a band, and one of the members was black, but he seems really close with this band. So that started fire against him. And then Ghoul's history is his mother's a lesbian. So now we get into a whole lot of drama going around that.
Well, it's hardly his fault.
It's not, but
how do these people think? How do these people think you get this far right? It's because you interact with this crap.
This is true, but there is this weird drama going on where it looks like at this point 8pol's been taken over by Antifa and bots and shills, and the place is just completely unusable. But a lot of people are getting dragged into it who don't need to be dragged into it. So if you're on either of those boards, walk away as fast as possible and like find a new home, because there's nothing good going to come from these two people ripping each other
apart. Turn 360 degrees and walk away.
Exactly.
Were you the one that tweeted me earlier about this? Because somebody tweeted out, yeah, there's a big fight going on. Stay the hell away from it, because like this is whatever it is, it's not productive, and I don't want anything to do with it.
No, it wasn't me who tweeted that. I just tweeted it to Bechtloff. I tweeted it yesterday saying, like, look what's going on. This could do with being discussed. Because it seems anytime any sort of nationalist starts making progress, they immediately turn on each other and tear themselves apart. And we noticed this in, like, the BNP in Britain's now fractured into 10 different groups. If we're going to win the fight, we've got ahead of us. And if we don't, we probably get killed. We can't be fighting over this petty bullshit. It doesn't matter who's famous and who isn't.
Well, it is. It's such a coincidence that it always happens. This is why you just got to be out for yourself, and then just connect with the individuals who you know you can trust.
Yeah,
don't make yourself a larger target.
Yeah, personally,
I've been thinking about doing a video. This is just the society we're living in, and I can think of a dozen different examples. And every thought experiment I run, there's a way that, yeah, things could work out really well. We could have a republic again. We could have a rule of law. We could have wealth, prosperity, married families, and all that great stuff. But it's never going to happen. It's always just going to devolve back into the Hegelian dialectic. Like, look at right now. It was, who was it? A Hawaiian libertarian pointed out, why is everybody on the right so happy that these creatures in Chicago are being charged with hate crimes? Isn't torture and attempted kidnapping and attempted murder, isn't that enough to lock them up for the rest of their lives? Why do we need to slap hate crime on that? Aren't we supposed to be opposed to hate crime legislation?
No, actually, it's funny you said that. Tucker Carlson actually had a piece on that where he was talking about how he personally is against hate crimes. He had, I don't know who the fucking pause guest he had on, but, you know, saying it wasn't hate or whatever. But he was saying that according to the statute, this meets the definition of a hate crime.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. You can personally be against something and say, well, this is the rules. Let's make sure that everybody's held to those rules. I mean,
we should still be fighting against it rather than.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't generally like RICO laws. I think that they are far too much power for the government to be able to handle. I understand why they were made, and I understand they can do a lot of good, but I would really trim them down. I would defang them a great deal if it were up to me. That said, RICO laws are on the books, and while they're on the books, I'd love to see them being used to shut down shit like Black Lives Matter, because that's a good that's a good use for them.
I think this is one of the cases where it's people who argue for, like, you can be racist against white people. As long as racism has power, it's going to be used against white people. You need to disarm the terms. And yes, you can occasionally use them as a weapon, but you have to disarm them because they're never going to stop beating you with that term until you do.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can be against the liberal bullshit while occasionally, when it's applicable, throw it back in their face.
Yeah, you use the tools handed to you.
I mean, I think
what I'm saying is themselves. You don't use the One Ring against Mordor. If you use the One Ring against Mordor, Mordor wins, and that's the thing. It's like the MRAs that they want.
No, but occasionally you can use the One Ring against Mordor's minions. You know,
you can pick and choose whatever metaphor you want to make it sound like you're thinking about this harder. But I mean, like, you use what you've got. I don't have any issue with using leftist laws and legislation against them, because let's face it, they're not just going to go away. This isn't using the One Ring. This is using a piece of legislation that was put in place by the Supreme Court.
Yeah, trust me. I'm more than to use that overused analogy. I'm more than happy to throw the One Ring in the fire, but on my way there, I might use it for my benefit.
Well, just for clarification,
just
for clarification, to be a legal nerd, actually, the hate crime statute that they're being charged with is a Illinois statute that exists in their state law. Illinois actually has their own individual state hate crime law. There is a separate federal statute that, if Obama's Justice Department so chose, they could further investigate and charge them federally.
Well, in that case, I'm all the happier, because I think that the more power the states have, the better. You know, let the states handle this however they want. It's, you know, let your local governments deal with local problems and local crimes.
I wonder if the statute of limitations would be up come next month, because I'd like to see Sessions do it. Like, would it be too late to charge them with federal hate crime?
No, but they would have to perform their own investigation. So they would what the fuck is it? The Attorney General of the U.S. AG, or is it? They can. I forget how exactly it works. I actually majored in criminal justice. They can do it. They have to perform their own independent investigation because it's a separate charge. It's a federal charge, so they would have to investigate it independently, and then they would charge them in federal court.
Well, still seems doable. I hope it's done. Maybe we can throw an additional sentence onto whatever Illinois gives them.
Well, like, for example, if you guys remember the Rodney King thing, the cops were put on trial, and they were exonerated in state court in the state of California, and then they were convicted, or I think 2 of them were convicted out of the 4 or whatever, on federal charges, where the federal government actually came in and charged them with a civil rights violation, which is what they were actually convicted of. They weren't convicted of assault or anything like that under California. They were exonerated. But then the federal government came in and retried them under a federal statute. That's how that works. I know it can get confusing if, especially to people from a different country that seem that they all assume that's weird, but that's how it works.
Does it matter what they try them under? They should just be killed at this point. This is what the death penalty is for. You've crossed the line. You clearly cannot live in our society. So we're sticking a rope around your neck and kicking the chair out from under it.
Yeah, they've got no useful purpose. This isn't, they go to confession maybe. We try and save their souls, but we're pretty much done with their bodies.
As much as I'd like to see that, there isn't really illegal. I mean, look, if this boy had died during it, then absolutely, every one of them would be eligible. But I mean, it is technically just assault. So yeah, you can't.
No, it's not. It's not though. The
it's kidnapping too.
Well, it's kidnapping. It's assault. It's battery. It's then there's also forced detainment. I forget all these. Each state has their own different way of phrasing all these things. If you stack the charges and they were found guilty of all of them, and then they were sentenced.
I mean, you can give them life easily.
They could. Well, I don't know because they're only 3 of them are 18, one's 24. I don't know. They go away for a long, long time, but they won't because they're going to take a deal because there's no way they want to go to a jury that has to watch that half-hour video. Because I watched that fucking video and I wanted to fucking see. I wanted to get violent.
If I was king, the deal I would offer them is you lock all 3 of them in a room with a single knife. And you say, I will allow the one person left to merely have a life sentence.
And then you have broadcasting, so it'd be less degenerate than the big.
There you go. It's about time there was something good on TV.
Yeah, pay-per-view, make some money.
There you
could go towards building the wall.
That's a good revenue enhancement.
Is that the first episode of The Running Man, where you just start walling in the cities? We'll start with London. We'll go to Chicago. Where's next?
I think when Trump builds that wall, he needs to loop it around California.
We can start filming there first. I'm okay with this. We just need
what purpose can these 4 people ever serve? I mean, no matter what. I mean, these people can never serve a functional purpose in society.
Oh God, no. They're nothing short of divine intervention redeems these people.
Well, you got more faith in God.
Even strictly earthly. I'm not even talking about, even making them. No. These people are about as beyond redemption as a human being can be.
You could make them serve a purpose, but it's kind of indirect. This is the first of its kind crime-wise. There's not really been a massive streaming event like this before hitting mainstream media. So whatever happens in this case is going to set the precedent for which go forward. So if you really screw them over, you make it quite clear if you live stream a crime like this is what's going to happen to you and it'll prevent more from happening.
That is an interesting dynamic that I keep forgetting about. Yeah, they broadcast this shit. I mean, you're talking about something that damn near reaches the level of a fucking Batman villain here. That's got to be some additional charges right there. I don't even know what, but there's got to be something.
Could you potentially charge them for trying to make a snuff movie?
No,
I'm sure.
I don't know what. There might be some obscure law in the state statute. I don't know. You'd have to.
Well, you have the reaction to like the 80s video nasty stuff everywhere. Some of those laws must be around saying you can't film this, you can't film that.
There's got to be at least some sort of indecency law you can throw at them. One of those stupid laws that, video games like Doom put in place or something. There's got to be some sort of, kind of a decency law you can throw at them that you can stack on top of everything else.
Well, my guess is this will never be a trial for 2 reasons. One is the kid is he has I don't know, autism or he has special needs. I don't know exactly what's wrong with him. Two, he's been severely traumatized because I mean he was kidnapped for like 48 hours, so he's all fucked. I mean, someone scalps you, forces you to drink toilet water, beats the shit out of you, humiliates you. So that he'd have to relive that because he'd have to take the stand. So that's one reason why I don't think he'll see a trial. Two, there's no jury in the world that can let these people off. So I think they'll just take they'll just take a plea.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I would not want to be the prosecuting attorney on this.
I would be.
Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you want to?
I would enjoy it a lot, actually.
Yeah, but obviously you don't have the mindset to be a prosecuting attorney then, because your name is going to be plastered across the headlines, and you are going to be hated no matter what you do. There's no way to make everybody happy. There's going to be one group that's extremely angry.
Pedos don't do well in prison. I wonder if these folks aren't going to do well in prison for similar reasons. Because, yeah, okay, they're maybe the fucking, I don't know, whatever the black gang is in the prison might take them in, but at the same time, they did this to some poor retarded boy.
The black gang in the prison is called the prison.
These people are going to be folk heroes.
They will go down.
I think that if this had just been like a regular white dude, then I'd have no doubt you'd be correct there. But the fact that it's a retarded boy, I kind of wonder. Because I know, like, look, if you're a pedo and you go in prison, they'll fucking eat you alive. I mean, they'll string you up for the fun of it. Pedos basically have to be put in solitary, or they will not make it. So I wonder if a similar dynamic might apply there.
The only chance they'd have of surviving is if they get in with the gang that will protect them. So the gang will probably.
But that's what I mean. Like, I wonder if even even the gangs would be like, yeah, we don't want anything to do with you, and then eventually the skinheads get a hold of them, and that'll be the end of it.
There was a case here.
Go ahead, man.
There was a case here a decade or so ago where two 12, 14-year-old boys tortured a 6-year-old kid. They took him from a shopping center, walked him into the woods, and then tortured and killed him. They were stuck in jail for a life sentence, but got out about 45 years old, I think they were, 40, 45-ish. And then they completely changed their identities and gave them full police protection to live a normal life from then on. I can see the same thing happening here.
Wow. How can you live a normal life, though, if you from 14 to 45 you were in prison?
I believe one of them ended up back in prison shortly after. And
that's what I'm talking about. It's the whole thing is just a mess.
Oh, they got doxed. Like, we know where you live now. We suggest you leave very quickly with a police car behind you. Situation. Like, they're still utterly despised in this country.
Do you know where the word penitentiary comes from? It's from the French. The French social theorist that's penitent. We should try and reform people that have committed crimes.
Exactly.
And you kind of dropped out there, Davis.
Yeah, we lost you.
I was just saying, how's that working out? Are we doing a good job reforming people with these penitentiaries?
Mm-hmm. See, in order for a penitentiary to work, you have to be penitent.
Oh, there's that.
Most people are not. They're sorry that they got caught. That's for sure.
I don't think they are.
It is.
I think most criminals aren't sorry they got caught. They basically get a free house, free food, and they get to do nothing all day but watch television and play games. It's not the worst life to have in the world.
Yeah, true.
And at this point, all the human rights nonsense, like, I need a PS3 in my jail cell, or else you're abusing me. What? Oh, the EU court said he's correct. You're abusing him. You're denying.
I'll just settle for a cellmate that doesn't want to rape me. I mean, I can maybe a book to read, but
you're never going to be that lucky. You're soft.
They'll give me the PS4 before they give me that. Here, you can play PS4 to take your mind off how much your asshole hurts.
Yeah, I just got this observation about the whole prison system is that if you took an innocent man that was found guilty and you gave him a choice of prison or corporal punishment, The innocent man would take corporal punishment, but the jailbird, the criminal, these people lack the ability to tell the difference between being in prison and being free because they are always in a prison of their own making, and so they will choose to go to prison. So what you wind up with is the whole prison institution. It's an absolute hell on earth for anybody that's either innocent or just made a mistake, that's truly repentant, that just did something stupid. It's hell for them. But it's just, life as normal for the scumbag jailbird that doesn't deserve the right to participate in society in the first place. I know, I'm just a font of positivity.
I'm not sure an innocent man would pick the corporal punishment, though, because, as I said, the way prisons are now, they're nowhere near as bad as they used to be. They're not great, but they're not bad. You could certainly see, like, your average neat being happy in prison.
I don't know. Prison to me seems...
I was gonna say, if you take out the rape, a small room with a roommate and video games, that just sounds like my college experience.
I don't know. All the gangs and the fucking prison sounds like all the worst parts of high school. Plus, people want to rape you.
Well,
and it's not the cheerleading squad either.
Yeah, it's the wrong people want to rape you.
Hey, remember, Steele, they have male cheerleaders now. So,
oh Jesus!
So the people that enjoy high school, they won't notice prison as being any different than their day-to-day ghetto life.
oh my God, you're right. Those are the people.
Yeah, those are the people that need to be locked up, and they can't. What's the difference between living in the ghetto with your lesbian mom, and you're not an alt-right thinker, versus being in prison with your cross-dressing roommate? Like when you remove the racial angle, like if you're actually put amongst your own race in prison, if you mind your own business and you're not a pussy, you're not going to get raped. Okay, most of it's just sexual slavery, and if you're not an idiot, you're not going to become a sex slave. But just the experience, I would rather take 20 lashes than 6 months in prison.
Well, I wouldn't mind being like Taylor Swift's sex slave if there's an opening for that, but I mean,
Isn't she close friends with Lena Dunham?
nobody's perfect.
She voted for it. It's all
Don't
culture.
ruin his jerk off fantasy, please.
Actually, you know what? I think it's really nice of Taylor Swift to make that retarded boy feel special. I think it's
You know what you just made me think of, though? I mean, if they were gonna kidnap a retarded boy, I mean, why couldn't it have been Lena Dunham?
Yeah, really. Somebody has a comment. Or Christian.
Yeah, if there was any autistic kid who deserved to get kidnapped and beaten for 48 hours, it is Christian.
That'd be an improvement on his current life, though.
For real.
Might snap
That would
him
be a
out.
step up.
He'd get medical attention afterwards for that wound on his groin.
Oh,
Why should we have a vote? Like, we should have a plebiscite as to which people we want to kick out of society. And we can all just put all of them, black, white, yellow, brown, into the same area, right? And I don't care whether I win or lose that. Because if all the liberals vote to put me in the area, then they're going to put me in there with all of you guys, and with Zarius, and with the Black Doctor Man, whereas the shitty scientist would stay out. And I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with living in that penal colony with a bunch of civilized people. Or we could put all the liberals in the penal colony. Either way.
Be like Escape from New York, except you would want to get in.
That would actually make a science fiction novel where it's like Escape from New York, but all the shitty cultural Marxists banished anyone with a soul. So, the penal colony is actually way better.
That'd make it good. Science
they
fiction
would turn it
story.
into like Camelot on a hill. You know what I mean?
The
Imagine-
liberals don't even look at that; they just assume it's bad because it's full of all those evil Nazis, and it's like a fucking paradise on earth.
Yeah, it's like the trains run on time. The streets
Everybody
are
gets
clean.
along. Everybody's just hardworking.
Now, unfortunately, there are no passenger cars on the trains that run on time. There's just box cars. But
Oh, I knew you'd go there.
No, we don't need the trains anymore because the people that would be on the trains have already sent us here.
And you know what? The way that we keep the Jews out is that we have delousing chambers on the edge of town that they have to walk.
they don't even have to go in them. They just see them and turn around.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, hey,
This just sounds like the plot to Fallout 5 for me. You come out of a nice utopian and you go, oh shit, I'm in the wasteland. What did the liberals do to us?
That was New Vegas, wasn't it?
Coming up next, New San Francisco.
Yeah, Fallout New Frisco.
No, I reminded. This reminds me of an article I read about. There was a version of that television show Survivor that was done in Europe. I don't know if it was like Denmark or one of those places, and they divided the two groups into by gender. You know, they put all the men on one island and the women on another island, and you know, the men had like turned the island into like a fucking Robinson Crusoe fucking paradise. You know, and the women were all like
the women were arguing over like whose hair was prettier or something.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you're in my sunlight because I'm trying to get a tan or something like that. You know, and then so then what they did was they said, oh, to get the women to work, they said, oh, this is not making good TV because the guys were all, you know, like, I mean, basically they
women are gonna die on us.
They basically gave the guys like a pocket knife and they built like a fucking shopping mall on the island, you know, and so then they mixed it up, the men and the women, but the women didn't change their behavior. They still said, oh, the guys will do everything, and they just went back to lying on the beach, you know.
Yeah, it got so bad they had to take 2 men off the male island and stick them on the female island, and the women just sat there going, "Do this for us, do that for us."
See, that's why the show is bullshit. And in a better world, they'd have let those women starve. That's like, sorry, all the women are dead. The guys are fine now.
Listen, there's the writer Whiskey and Ashes pointed out that when men suffer, like we suffer to show that we're bad, like we suffer to fix things, right? It's like I have to fix the car and it's going to really suck. I'm going to bleed and I'm going to freeze, but then the car will be fixed. Look at me, I'm a badass. Women suffer for the sake of suffering, so that everybody else notices that they're suffering. And on the one Survivor type show I saw with the men and women on different islands, the doctors actually had to tell the women, you are going to die if you don't get the correct nutrient soon. You know, they were just starving themselves to death with not getting the right nutrients because women just enjoy suffering.
It's also interesting where when men are suffering, they become productive. They work harder to get out of it. Instead of like, I must respond with my emotions, they respond by doing shit until their emotions faded enough to deal with it.
I saw this one comic on Facebook, like where it was like 2 women are having a girls' night out and they're arguing over who should order the pizza, and it's just like, no, you order, and then the next panel is they're both skeletons, and it's like they starved.
It's like
You guys
trying to produce children.
You guys just reminded me of something, which is, it's kind of a hallmark in history. The first transgender woman has won a bicycle race. Like one of the big bicycle races, they let a tranny in because this is the official rules committee now saying they count as women. And he completely dominated the field.
Oh, gee. What a shock.
Well, I'm curious about how this transgenderism thing like all shakes out. Like, you know, all the lawsuits that are going to happen. Like, because can I like decide that I want to fight in like the heavyweight division of the female UFC?
Well, if you put on a wig and you can.
That's already happened, and now they won't fight the woman because she just beats them senseless every time and injures them.
That's how we gotta. Somebody has to talk Jack Donovan into spending a year going by Jane Donovan and then have him enter the women's UFC. But like,
that would be hysterical.
It's just Jack Donovan in a wig.
Jane Donovan, yeah.
And he's
taped
just
that wig to
beating
his
the shit
forehead.
We are going to see a female athlete die either participating in a male sport, like a woman joins the NFL, or going up against a tranny male in boxing or something. We are going to see a female athlete die because she gets hit by a man so hard her body just breaks into pieces. That's going to happen within our lifetimes.
Sounds like damn good television to me.
I don't think she'll die.
Sounds like my Saturday nights.
You hanging out with Blair White again?
Good one.
He doesn't like when you do that.
That's funny.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's really good.
Neither does she. I think it's more likely one would be paralyzed than killed, which would probably be worse. Because then they'd have to like roll her out every Olympics. Look how special this woman is. The first woman killed by a tranny.
Oh God! Oh, that would happen. They would drag out her suffering every 4 years. She would be brought back to where she had been ruined. Oh Jesus!
And by the end of it, she looks like Bishop from the end of Aliens. And just nothing left below the waist. There's white drool just coming out of her face, like, kill me now.
Oh, guys, Gratal says that Blair White blocked Common Filth on Twitter. Vow. I completely agree.
Yeah, I saw like Common Filth like took a screen cap at it and was laughing, and I tweeted under it and I was like, plot twist, Common Filth was Blair White the whole time. And also Mexican.
Oh.
It's like that scene with the Blue Morpho in the latest Venture Brothers season.
I got to get Common Filth on here again. I haven't had him on in a while.
Listen, I don't really have anything against transsexual. I kind of feel bad for them. I think they're making terrible life choices, but I don't have anything against them. I don't feel the need to point and laugh at them. What bothers
That's the same thing here. Is I get too empathetic about it, and I'm like, you are throwing your life away, basically.
They're just human like us. I mean, some of them are absolute perverts and monsters, but a lot of them are just people that are misguided. But here's the thing. What bothers me is all the people on the right that are just so eager. Look, a tranny agreed with us. Look, a black man agreed with us. Look, a woman agreed with us. It is utter cucky bullshit.
Yeah, it's a shame. If it would be a real shame if that happened to some like big consumer revolt or something.
Oh.
You mean where their most iconic member left is now a tranny pedophile? What movie could that be?
Yeah.
Speaking of Common Filth, I suggested this on Twitter, and I'm just going to suggest this now. What would be absolutely perfect is if Common Filth got together with Mr. Metatoker, like Jim, and they did like a Deviants Tumblrista crossover video or something.
Oh.
Find one of these freaks that has a big presence on both sites and just like, we need, because you know what? I mean, I guess it's because I'm a comic book fan. I'm a sucker for the crossover. So let's make that happen. All right.
I think that'd work if they did an interview together, but like a single episode wouldn't work because Jim's very much just screw it, let's see the world burn. Whereas Common Filth is let's save the world from burning.
Well, I don't know. See, so sometimes they're like.
I don't think that's true, Common Filth. I don't think he
purify with fire. It must be purified in the crucible.
Oh.
Because Common Filth
Holy cleansing fire of the flamethrower. That's what we need. God from the heavens, as we're told.
Is that Common Filth's net product? It's going to be white girls fuck dogs on a flamethrower. You get it for $29.95.
Don't give them any ideas.
You know what? When I went
That would be
Vegas,
playing the long game. That's been his plan the whole time. That's how he's going to make his millions.
I'm going to see if I can find a flamethrower company that will toss me some cash to sponsor their product. That would be awesome. I love flamethrowers. They're very effective.
You can just make one yourself, though. They're not that difficult to make if you don't mind them exploding sometimes.
Yeah, and you know how well faggots burn, right? Oh, I think I just...
I've heard stories.
Oh, Lordy.
I can neither confirm or deny I have a wicker man standing outside.
Attention, thought police. That's a joke because faggot can also mean a bundle of sticks.
Yeah, before I get thrown off YouTube.
Yeah.
That was a little play on words there, folks. Fucking FBI kicking my door down right now.
The party van has arrived.
We've been waiting for the
Speaking
excuse.
of federal surveillance, has anyone seen the film Snowden?
I have not. I was wondering how that might turn out, but
I watched it last night.
is it any good? I mean, is it true to things or?
Well, it's hard to know what's true because a lot of the story is.
I mean, Snowden's a bit of a cuck at times, but I do have a good amount of respect for what he's done.
Yeah, well, a lot of the story, a lot of the film rather, is is interactions he's having one-on-one with like his girlfriend and one-on-one conversations he's having with other colleagues and stuff like that. So there's no way of knowing how much license is taken with that or how much was actually real. You know what I mean? So there's a big part of that. But there was a couple things I did learn about him that I didn't know in it. For example, he was actually assigned, because they just made it sound like, oh, he was just a temp. He was an outside temp hired by, worked for a private company that was hired by the NSA. That's how they tried to spin it. But actually, before that, he was actually given he was a NOC, non-official cover agent for the NSA, even though he wasn't a member of the CIA. He was actually he had one assignment where he actually did real intelligence field work. I can't remember which country in Europe. So there was more to the guy than the government tried to spin it.
Yeah,
and I also didn't know he was in the Army, and he actually broke his legs during basic training and was discharged.
Well, yeah, he wasn't whining about a sprained ankle in that case.
No, he broke his legs, and they wouldn't let him. Because sometimes if you're injured during basic, you can go back, but they wouldn't let him back because he only weighed 150 pounds soaking wet. And he went. His family was all. I think it was his grandfather was like a rear admiral in the Coast Guard or something. I forget what it was. And but he came from kind of a patriotic family where they all served in the federal government in some capacity. So he wasn't like some liberal faggot from the get-go or anything. He was a nerd. Dead.
I mean, Snowden's a patriot. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Snowden, I mean, anybody who calls him a traitor, I'm like, he gave information to the American people. So you think the American people are the enemy. Every one of these Lindsey Grahams out there that thinks Snowden is a traitor, they're the real traitors.
Oh, Lindsey Graham, I fucking hate that piece of shit.
There's a special place in hell for Lindsey Graham.
See, like John McCain, I give him a pass for two reasons. One, he's over 90 years old. Okay, so if you make it that far and your brain is still, relatively functioning, and you've been in combat and you've been tortured, you get a pass. Let's be honest. There's some things you get a pass. Lindsey Graham is just a fucking cuck faggot.
Well, Lindsey Graham's also the absolute definition of the fucking chicken hawk. I mean, this is a guy who's never met a war he didn't like, but never served. None of that. He's so damn
a male
eager.
named Lindsay.
Wait,
Believe it or not.
But no, he's so damn eager for everyone else to bleed out in the sand for no good reason. But he never served.
These fat feminists. Every single time the name comes up, it's some sort of fat feminist thing going on. This is a male?
Yeah, this is a congressman or no senator. I'm sorry,
Senator.
Good Lord.
Actually, Ramsey Paul
Republican. No,
he's the ultimate cuck conservative.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham is pure evil. He's
I blame
level pure evil.
I blame a lot of McCain's views on the fact that in his formative years, he came from a military family. His father was an admiral, yes, in the Navy, I believe.
Yes.
He grew up with this Cold War mentality. It was ingrained in him. He fought in Vietnam. He was shot down. He was tortured by communists. So he'll never be able to. He's always going to see the rush. He's never going to be able ever to get out of that Cold War mindset. I hate to be making excuses, but I think you guys know where I'm coming from with that.
Oh yeah. Look, the other week I said the best part of him died numb, and I wasn't even being that fucking mean. Like, I understand why he's all fucked up. I mean, that doesn't mean he should be trusted with the slightest bit of fucking power. Quite the contrary. But yeah, I'm not necessarily ready to throw him out of a helicopter. I just John. Okay, John, that's nice. Go sit down and shut up. Is my response to him.
Yeah, my response would be thank you to your service, but the world has changed since 1970.
What is with these baby boomers that cannot adapt to the current time? Because I honestly, maybe this is just proud of youth, but I don't think I'm going to be that bad when I'm 50. or 60 or 70.
That's because baby boomers never grew up. So
Well,
how
I can
can
tell
they-
you part of it is the fact that they're so much more numerous than everybody else. I mean, they were part of a baby
Yes.
boom, hence the name. So they have a lot of their peers around them to insulate them from the changing world, because none of them want to move on either. And so it's a kind of social psychological entropy where they won't change because they have enough mass, for lack of a better word, to ignore the changing world.
No, that's a brilliant point. That's like, because they have this mass, which mass creates inertia. So I think they,
Inertia, not entropy. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for.
yes, no, it's all you. But I'm just saying, you're right. You're absolutely right. That's what has happened to them. So politically and sociologically, geopolitically, they have such inertia they can't move. I totally agree with you.
Listen, culturally, we're all listening to baby boomer music, aside from Matt Forney, and all the shows that we watch are derivative of baby boomer culture. Like, look at Archer, look at Venture Brothers. These are derivations of something established by the baby boomer. generation.
Is Death Grips and or Vaporwave baby boomer music? Because I don't think it
Vaporwave
is.
is 1980s nostalgia.
But that's Gen X, not baby boomer.
Oh, okay, so we've got a little bit of Gen X there. So we are very good Gen X.
Gen X,
models.
Gen X
Nope.
didn't get along with the baby boomers, right? You know that, right?
No, I don't.
Oh no.
I'm
No,
surrounded
Gen
by
X.
them,
Well,
but,
Gen X doesn't get along with anybody.
Well, like, do any of you guys even know what Death Grips is?
No, sorry.
Okay, never mind. It's you know how people are like, oh, rap is just anger and violence and profanity and stuff. Basically, if it was actually that's what Death Grips is. So anyway, you go on.
think about
Was
that.
Undertow just saying Vaporwave's music? Because I'm not sure it is. I'm very
Vaporwave.
questionable.
Vaporwave, not
I don't
Vaporwave.
think that's music. Vaporwave's not music, man. It's dubstep rebranded with less wobs.
I want you to explore this.
Okay, hold on real quick, Davis, before you get into your actual point. I'm sorry. This was all just for a little joke, but we need to kick Broken from this chat right now. Right now.
I'm not a Democrat or anything, but Depeche Mode rock.
What? So, what?
Go watch Orgasmo.
No, I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear you. Your microphone is so quiet.
Oh, I was saying I'm not a
Get closer
Democrat.
to the mic, Davis.
I'm saying I'm not a Democrat or anything, but Depeche Mode rocks.
Yeah, Depeche Mode is pretty cool.
But so, okay, can you hear me? Is my microphone okay?
you're
Yeah,
fine
that's
now.
actually
Yeah,
much
you were
better.
just too far away before.
All right. So economically, the baby boomers, first they get born, into the best economy that ever freaking existed. They've held on to their jobs way too long. And now, even though they're getting Social Security and we won't, they are worrying about their retirement because they're living longer than they expected to. And so they are so wrapped up, like economically speaking, they are so wrapped up in their own situation that they are completely incapable of examining any other generation's economic situation.
Well, that's because the baby boomers are the worst generation. They are pure selfishness. Yeah, the baby boomers deserve the ice flow more than any generation has ever existed.
I agree with that. My question is this: how is it that the greatest generation produced the baby boomers?
I don't know.
Because they were so traumatized by 10 years of economic depression and then 5 years of World War. They were so screwed up by that they're a bunch of just like twitching basket cases. There's like, I want boring civilization. I want cookie cutter houses. I'm going to flip out and beat my wife. They were
You went a generation, the greatest generation. They suffered the Dust Bowl, the depression, every fucked up thing you could possibly imagine. The war, and then they produced the baby boomers. What the fuck?
I think part of what happened was they had this boom, this economic boom, and I think because their life was such shit, they wanted to give their kids the stuff they didn't have, and they just fucking spoiled them.
That's exactly how it goes. There's very similar things in my family where my parents had very little, so we got spoilt rotten. And it is a natural, like, I have nothing. I've gained all this stuff in my life. I now need to get my next of kin to be on the next step of the ladder. So they give them everything, which end up spoiling them and ruining it. It happens in like rich families as well. They're like 3-generation thing. One earns it, one has it, and then one spends it. It's exactly the same thing going on with the baby boomers.
Yeah, the one thing you got to give Trump credit on, whether you ever agree with his politics or not, is he managed to raise kids in incredible opulence who still have their shit together. And that's not easy to do.
Well, there's this one video by David Firth. It's the medical alert number 3, where the guy's saying, you know, just knuckle down, stay faithful to pain. It will all be over before you know it. And that was the baby boomers' attitude. It's like, we're going to shower our kids with riches, but they have nothing emotionally to give. They've just been so emotionally destroyed, the greatest generation, that they just give their kids toys, and their advice is just knuckle down and don't stick your head up. That's how you get it shot off. That's their life advice. And so, you know, sure enough, you get the greatest generation of narcissists.
You also have the societal cycle, though. We are coming to the end of a cycle of empires, and that means you naturally get the narcissism taken over. You get the xenophilia. You get these traits passing for every empire which is falling apart. And ours is just, we're just at the end of it and noting these problems, but they're problems which we've seen before in multiple places.
You know, I've only got 2 data points on this, but, you know, the Roman Empire lasted 1,200 years, and then there was a 400-year Dark Age, and then, you know, 1,200 years ago...
technically, the real Roman Empire, or including the Republic and the Empire, really only lasted 800 at most.
Well, no, there's the foundation by Romulus and Remus, and there's 4 distinct stages. I mean, if you want to, you know, 2 data points.
Hey, I read Gibbons, published in 1789. I read it cover to cover.
The Fall of Empires.
The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire.
There's a book called The Fall of Empires, which is about 30 pages where it looks at, I think it's 12 empires over a 3,000-year period, and sets out an 8-stage cycle they all went through as they collapsed. And the average lifetime for an empire is 250 years. No matter the circumstances, the technology, the people involved, they all take this same path. And how they die is always slightly different, but the path always remains the same, no matter the technology or anything going on at the time.
Well, then how did Rome kind of beat the odds then?
Empire, I'm saying civilization. You know, like the Roman style of being, the Roman attitude towards humanity and history, from Romulus and Remus to 400 AD is about 1,200 years. You know, like I'm thinking it might be like 1150 years or something like that. And that's, you know, it was 1,200 years ago, just about, that Charlemagne, you know, reclaimed Europe and set the European standard of what we are today. And I think we're on schedule for a 400-year Dark Age. And, you know, everywhere you turn, like, it would be so easy to fix everything wrong with this world, but every time, every situation, you know, it's not going to get fixed. You know, the alt-right, we get Donald Trump in, next thing you know, we're fighting amongst ourselves.
I think the bigger issue of that is, where do you start fixing things? Let's just take the family as an example. You need to get women out of the workplace. You need to fix the divorce laws. You need to get men their masculinity back. All these things are completely intertwined to the point where no matter what you try and fix, something else will immediately break it. And it's just too much is decayed on top, where I think a lot of people are now thinking, force the collapse to happen and then survive through it. And that seems to be the most optimal solution at this point.
Well, and you can't get any mass of people together to actually stand for something. You know, like Gamergate turned into nothing but meaningless concessions from video game magazines, and now every single video game being made in the West is completely paused, or it's a frat bro game. The same thing with Donald Trump. We get him elected, we immediately all turn on one another, doing purity testing. Now we have 8chan going after TRS, and all we do is fight. And I can make
hold on, David. I got to interrupt that. I mean, look, who gives a shit what happens on 8chan or people, you know?
No, this is just an example.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying, look, getting Trump elected was a major deal. If nothing else, it was the biggest, as well. I hate to have to quote Michael Moore, but it was the biggest fuck you to the establishment I've ever seen in my lifetime, and I'm older than anyone in here.
Yeah, I have a tremendous amount of hope for the next few years that I did not have even a year and a half ago.
I mean, I can't believe I'm the one saying this, but I think you're just a little bit too cynical, Davis.
Oh, just you wait.
Well, hold on. If
Never
Undertow
renegade
is
the
saying
cynic
it, it must be really fucking cynical.
No, I really hope you guys are right. But you know what? If I were Trump and I looked at this country, this civilization, and like these jackasses running around, opiate addicts and meth addicts and porn addicts, sex addicts, say, fuck it, just build a new mall. Commonfield is right. Let's burn down the universities and turn them into malls. Dildo shops. That'd make people happy.
Well, the dildo shops would be far more useful than the modern university. I'll give you that. I mean, at least
I'm going to steal
you know,
that line. That's my next Twitter post.
I mean, at least a dildo doesn't. At least you're not going to be paying the dildo off for 30 years.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't know.
I mean, unless it's a really, really nice
That
dildo.
better be a pretty nice dildo.
I'm not so sure on that. Have you seen what students are doing with those at university now? That's where their student loans are going.
Robert McCain wrote an article about a feminist scholar who did her PhD thesis on dildos.
What?
Yep. And she thinks that all men should own a strap-on vagina.
Oh,
How does that even work?
How do you have a strap on?
I really don't want to know.
Yeah, let's not. Let's not.
Seriously though,
Like, do we need to get Forney in here for this section or what?
can I just say though that a thesis on dildos is probably the best thing a feminist ever wrote? Because I mean, at least a dildo has made someone happy at some point.
At least she knows.
Not merely brought misery to everywhere it goes. I'm surprised.
I just can we just go back to like
the dildo is oppressing me.
just for a second, like even Undertow, who is let's be honest, he's a little bit of a cynic.
What? Me?
No.
No.
No,
I want to go.
I'm not saying. No, hold on, Dave. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to get my point. I'm not saying that because Trump got elected, it's all going to be fucking sunshine and rainbows. And I think there's tremendous challenges, and I think there's going to be huge upheavals in society. But I'm saying this is our best last chance right now. So let's fucking grab it with both fucking hands. Maybe it won't work, but
But maybe it will.
Yeah, I was going to say, the
Correct.
fact that we did this shows that we have more strength than we realized.
Yes, I mean Trump. Trump
didn't-
victory. I mean,
It's
I
not
remember
like Trump did this himself. We made it happen for him.
I mean, when I was on your channel, Bechtloff, the night that Trump won, it kind of, I don't know how the rest of you guys felt, but that kind of restored my faith in humanity. Like maybe it's not all, maybe I don't have to be just like nihilistic hedonist and everything. Maybe there is some meaning. Maybe God has not completely abandoned us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of knew he was going to win, but yeah, once it was confirmed, I'm like, yeah, I think we have a shot here.
I think we shouldn't overestimate. I think we shouldn't overestimate our power in getting Trump elected. Remember, he was already incredibly popular. His brand was amazing. He had the best brand in the world, pretty much. And saying we posted frog pictures on Twitter to get him elected is kind of, it's narcissistic, but it's not the word I'm looking
When he
for.
says we, he doesn't mean we, the alt-right. He means we, the American people.
Yeah. Look,
Judging by your accent, I'm going to guess that doesn't include you. But
everybody with a shred,
but that's what he means.
everybody with a shred of sanity left in this country said, holy shit, have you seen the last few years? Have you seen how out of control it got? And enough was enough. And finally, an opportunity presented itself, and the people took it.
Yeah, but you also have to consider that Hillary was utterly despised. No one's ever liked Hillary in the entire time she's been alive.
No, fair enough, and I'll give you that. You're broken. You're exactly right on that. But you look at everything that Trump overcame. Everybody in the media was out to get him,
Yeah,
and
Trump
not just the
overcame
media.
his own
Everybody
party.
in his own party, the quote unquote Republican Party, tried to take him down. And,
I mean, yeah,
I'm sorry, Bechtloff, you go.
Yeah, he got through his own party. And see, that's why I said from the get-go, I said from his announcement speech that his real fight is in the primary, that he would butcher Hillary. And the only reason it was as close as it was because of massive electoral fraud. But I knew he would butcher Hillary, that it would be such a landslide she couldn't even steal it hard enough. And that's exactly what happened. But I wasn't sure he could get through the primary. I wasn't sure he could defeat the cucks and the special interests within the Republican Party. And damned if he didn't do it. Damned if he didn't tell him to bite the fucking curb. I mean, he went in there like a machine. He went in, because again, it's not just him. It's not just anything he'll do. Because, yeah, he's going to do some good stuff. We're going to have a Justice Department that's actually somewhat interested in the concept of justice.
Supreme Court nominees.
We're going to have at least one on day one, practically, but most likely 2, possibly 3 Supreme Court nominees in his first term. And, we'll get a foreign policy of both strength and sanity, which we basically haven't had forever. He's going to do a lot of great shit. But what he did more than anything else was that he showed it's okay to be a man. That is what we needed more than anything else. More than anything else he will or even possibly could do. When he looked Megan with a Y in her stupid cunt face and was basically like, yeah, okay, that's nice, sweetie. The grown-ups are talking. That's what we needed. And he showed he did it, and it benefited him. He showed everybody with a shred of fucking testosterone in their body that it's okay to be a man. I know you've been told for so long that it's not okay, but it is. Watch me do it and watch it benefit me. That he gave this country a shot of testosterone. That alone is what we needed. We need it to be men again, because men build civilization.
And to bring that around to something we already mentioned, when men suffer, we turn it into productivity.
Yeah.
And so there you go. And did Davis leave?
Yes, he dropped a while ago.
No.
He said he said on be right back on Skype.
Okay.
Anyway, say your point on it. So I want to hear it.
I mean, that was it. I just wanted to bring it around that the more masculine your society is, and the longer it's been suffering, the greater the springback can be. I mean,
yeah.
I understand the cyclical nature of history and everything like that, but I don't think that the future is inevitable. I don't think anything is inevitable.
I don't think the future is inevitable.
And look,
but
empires fall, but civilizations don't need to fall. I mean, China is still around and has been for 3,000 years. All right, maybe not for long, but the nations of Europe have been around for a great deal. Yeah, you can't be king of the hill forever. That's true, but you can be on the hill forever. You can have a place in the world for a very good long time. We may need to fall as an empire. We may need, which I've said for years, that our empire of a military base in every country in the world is foolish and unsustainable. Yeah. But that doesn't mean we need to fall as a nation, or even more broadly as a civilization. That doesn't mean Western civilization needs to go into the dustbin of history.
It doesn't need to go into the dustbin, but we're facing a zealous foe who's got a religion behind them, and we're struggling to find our religion to fight back. And
also Muslims.
Yes, that's what is concerning me. Is we don't have the will to fight back at this point, and we need to get people who do have the will.
I think maybe that's the case in Europe, but I think the last election just showed us that the American people, at the very least, do have the will to fight.
I think in Europe you do have the will. Look, I mean, and it may get ugly. Maybe. Look, if you look at what's going on in Germany, and we all know the Germans are very nice until they're not.
No, but hold on, Bechtloff. I might have to agree with our British friend here. I think that Europe, or at least Western Europe, may be paused beyond saving. I mean, I think he might have a point there. I don't believe that's true of the United States. I think that we.
Yeah, I think the U.S. we have a shot, but Europe is too far down the rabbit hole at this point. I think.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope Undertow.
Europe is not. Look, I think what's going to end up happening with Europe is you're going to see pockets of it reemerge. And you see this on smaller scales with I think the Sons of Odin out in fucking Sweden, I think it is, or somewhere out
Sweden.
there. Yeah. But they're running around just fucking killing the Muslims, and at the rate things are going, I wouldn't be surprised if large swaths of territory end up controlled by them.
That's already
You're going to
happening.
end up with, if Western Europe gets saved, it's going to get saved by the gangs. It's going to get saved by the mafias and the Sons of Odins. And, Michael Savage said this famously close to 10 years ago. He said, if England has a future, it will be ruled by the soccer. If England, as a truly, as truly still remaining English, has a future, it will be saved and then ruled by the soccer hooligans.
I think you're touching on why I'm not feeling that optimistic, is because I view there's two types of the enemy that we need to resist. The first is the explicit example, which is Hillary Clinton. It is the let's invite 1 million migrants over. It's let's destroy small businesses and promote transsexualism. Okay, that's the obvious enemy, and we did win a major victory against that with Trump. The other form of the enemy is the more insidious form, and that's the form inside ourselves. That's the bit of the alt-right that can't put down their weaponized memes and
are you talking about skeletons? Skeletons aren't real.
No, skulls aren't real. The other is our own love of degeneracy. Like, what I really worry is that America is going to be, okay, we got Donald Trump, we don't have to worry about any more Democrat BS. Sweet, let's open up more pornography stores as entrepreneurs. Let's continue to cheat on our wives and raise bastard children.
I don't buy that at all. I'm sorry to just, I just don't believe that. I think that the people have seen what degeneracy does, and I'm not saying we're all going to become fucking Puritans. God knows I'm not.
Oh Lord, no. The Puritans are half of the problem. The Puritans all became Democrats. Okay.
I meant it in the.
No, I know what you're saying. And hey, I'm not saying like I'm some sort of saint. I'm working towards it, but I'm sure as hell not right now. But the question is, are people actually going to set their sights upon something higher, or are they just going to, settle back into comfortable?
In my opinion, I don't think people are going to settle into comfortable. I think one of the reasons that people voted for Trump is that they even said that, people I've spoken to, they like, even you guys, Trump isn't perfect. He's fucking flawed, but he's a last best chance. If it wasn't him, that was the end. If Trump had lost, that would be the end.
Oh yeah, that's blood in the streets time.
That's die a good death time.
This is kind of like, I don't know, maybe like in the Revolutionary War, the Battle of Saratoga, where we actually, started to turn the tide. You know what I mean? It was where we could, this shows that we can win a major battle. Okay, it can be, we thought we were routed, and then General Arnold came in, rallied the troops, took a bullet in the leg, and we stood our ground and we fought and we won. I mean, that was the Trump presidency, the election. That we said no, this far, no further. And I think people kind of know that now. They sense that now, and they feel, and they know they're hip to this shit now. The legacy media is dying. The more they try to discredit Trump.
It's funny. I actually saw a tweet. I think it was some guy from CNN. I can't. Let me bring up his name real quick so I make sure I get at least his name right, if not his position. But he did one of these Twitter polls, right? And
I think I saw that. Have Luke put that up if you can.
Yeah, I'll bring up the tweet. Okay, so he brought up a Twitter poll, and it was, who do you trust? What, Julian Assange or the
WikiLeaks or this is a
WikiLeaks or U.S. intelligence community. Here, I'll bring up this tweet. It's a screen cap of the tweet. Luke can throw it up here. So he tweets out this Twitter poll: who do you trust, WikiLeaks or the U.S. Intelligence community? Right, U.S. intel officials. John Harwood is this guy's name, right? Now, he had 84,115 votes on this. Now, okay, a lot of people do have multiple Twitter accounts. So let's say we round this down to a solid 80.
Are you saying this guy's more statistically accurate than our 50 votes on our polls?
Yes. But let's round this down to a solid 84,000 people, all right? Out of 84,000 people, 83% found WikiLeaks to be far more trustworthy than the U.S. intelligence community. And this guy hardly has a very right-wing audience. And still, this happened. People aren't buying it anymore. I was listening in, I think, Subway the other day at lunch to, CNN was playing the congressman had the committee with the fucking CIA traitors sucking each other's dicks on how evil, WikiLeaks in Russia is. And I mean, aside from just boiling with rage, thinking that everyone in that room, should rightfully be hung, I found myself thinking, like, I don't think it's working anymore. I don't think anybody's buying this anymore. And time and time again, I see it, like, nobody is. Nobody is buying. Like that whole stupid shit a few weeks ago with Spencer throwing up the Nazi salute at his thing and the media making a big deal out of it and trying to pin it on Trump. I had a normie at work come up to me and go, "Did you hear that? Like there were some Nazis had like a meeting in D.C. and they tried to pin that on Trump. Trump ain't got nothing to do with that. Plus, they never mentioned that Hillary was endorsed by the Communist Party. Like even normies aren't buying it anymore." The media is at a 6% approval rating. They don't have the power they think they do. And every once in a while, you can see the terror in their eyes when that reality sinks into them.
Did the normies actually buy it there? Because over here, the normies didn't buy it. They just, we have no alternative, so this is what we have to put up with.
Well, I mean, it's not every normie. It's just happening. The normies are no longer really normies anymore. People are polarizing. There isn't this. There are less normies now than there ever has been.
But that's also a big concern because then you get a nation which is going to fight itself, which lets a third party come in and steamroll.
Okay,
it.
you know what? I'm quite. These liberals keep threatening fucking civil war. What are you gonna do? You gonna hit me with your dildo and your bong? Like, you want to dance? Let's fucking dance. All right. Your side consists of faggots that have never held a gun and dindus that hold them sideways. So let's fucking go.
You're also coming at this from a much more British perspective. There is no third party in America. I mean, there's the libertarians, but even
they're too busy taking their
libertarians
clothes off
are
and
fucking
dancing at
dead
the
and good
convention.
riddance.
yeah, I mean, even with this election, correct me if I'm wrong, but they didn't get the 6% that they needed or whatever to get that position at the debates next time.
And look, dude, all the real libertarians became alt-right shitlords who want to throw the enemies of liberty out of helicopters.
As you were saying, this is probably the single most polarized election in the history of America since its founding. And there was
just a quick note on libertarians. Sorry to interrupt Undertow, but I just want to get this. The biggest recruiting ground to get people into the alt-right are former libertarians.
Present,
Yeah.
In Europe, and specifically in England, that is a legitimate concern, but not so much here in America, because. I mean, it's basically this two-party system is so entrenched that it's basically illegal to be a third party and get a majority. Not necessarily, but it's set up. The cards are so stacked against that happening that what is possible is for a lone maverick to take over one of the other parties.
Trump.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, all right. I really hate to admit this, Bechtloff, but you're actually making me feel a little bit better.
Let's assume for a minute.
This enemy is extremely insidious.
Let's assume.
And I already seeing it taking over us, taking over Trump, taking over everything good that we try and bring into the world. It's extremely insidious. And,
this thing that you're calling enemy is called hope.
No, it's Leviathan. It's false hope. It's a panacea. It is a heroin drip IV.
Look, worst case scenario, as far as the left, coming at us. Worst case scenario. Let's imagine there's a full-on civil war.
No, it's the opposite. It's us becoming the left. That's
I don't see that. I don't see that.
I really don't see that happening.
Yeah, look, worst case scenario, you got
I see it happening right now.
It is too fresh in our minds, and it is too obvious and easy to fall into that.
No,
Where
no,
do you
that's
see
not
that
happening.
right now.
No. Look, worst case scenario, you got a civil war, and what happens? You got a civil war
Hold on,
where
hold on.
you
Bechtloff,
got chunks. Hang on, let me finish. You got chunks of basically blue on the side. You got some major cities, and yeah, there's some leftists who fantasize about one day we'll have vertical farming and we can get rid of those evil rural folks. But for now,
what kind of fat
for
piece
now,
of shit would
leftists,
say something
the
that
big
stupid?
red chunk of the middle of the country that you look down on, that's the chunk that has all the food, guns, and oil. All right. So please push a fucking civil war.
I do want to say
we need
an all-out civil war. That is not a worst case scenario for us.
no
Because of what you just said. And what is the worst case scenario is what Arini is referring to, which is falling into laziness and the path of least resistance and becoming, bureaucratic. If you've ever seen the movie Brazil, that is the
yeah,
threat.
but see, I don't think that can ever happen for the simple fact that look, the
You should
left
come visit Canada.
The left is going to continue to act an absolute fool to the point where, because I was worried that we would be too magnanimous, that we would try and be their buddies. But then I became aware of the fact that the left won't let us do that. And likewise, the left won't let us get lazy because every other week there's going to be bullshit like this Black Lives Matter kidnapping. There's going to be these idiots rioting in the street. There's going to be Keith Olbermann jerking his little pud on YouTube to the idea of civil war. They're never going to let us forget that they must be destroyed.
And I think that actually, as I was referring to Broken having more of a British point of view on this, I think in your case, Arini, you may have that extra dose of cynicism because of the Canadian point of view, because Canada is the worst case scenario. I think.
Good Lord, I seriously, I just want to go one day without seeing a mulatto. Is that too much to ask?
Yeah, right. Like that kind of thing.
Nothing against mulattoes. I'm just sick of seeing them all over the place. I know they're not that much of a percent of the population. Why do I keep frickin' seeing them? But here's the thing. You're talking about the left. The left is going to keep mouthing off. Wonderful. We have our own Emmanuel Goldstein. It's the flipped over version. But every time we have one of these feminist freaks parading her vagine all over Tumblr, and we point and laugh at that, we're ignoring the sickness in our own camp. And see, that's where the sickness is going next. Okay, that like the evil, the enemy that we're fighting, it's a spiritual sickness. Now, bear with me for a sec. The reason the left came to power was, yes, there's a very complex history, but they never could have come to power in the first place if they didn't have a point. If there wasn't something sick about imperialism, if there wasn't something sick about the Industrial Revolution, about the company store. If there wasn't something sick with the right, the left never could have come into power. And now that the right has become, if we play our cards right, we are the new left. We are the de facto establishment, and we have the left running around being Emmanuel Goldstein for us. And it's going to creep into us. And we are going to become the exact same self-righteous prigs that won't acknowledge what's sitting right underneath our nose as we rush towards that pit of self-annihilation.
I don't know
You're
what to say,
right.
Davis.
You're right on a couple things here, Davis. For one thing, you're absolutely correct in that it is a spiritual battle, but you can't fight spiritual battles for others. Everybody has to fight those on their own. And you can't be upset. Oh, this whole group isn't all winning their own spiritual battles. Well, no, but because you are right about like we are. There is always the danger of being the new, exactly the same as the guy you tried to depose. But that's just because we're all human beings. I mean, at the end of the day, we are driven by the same emotions that the left is. It's just that we've thought about it a little bit more, and we've directed it, and we've had the learning, and we found the information that we needed to get to the truth.
See, it's not going to come after us the same way it came after the left. And this enemy is not like it exploits our human weaknesses, but this enemy is not human. Okay, it's not the Jews. The Jews, many of them are prominent servants of it, but it is something alien. Okay, and it is Leviathan. Okay, it's our pretense that we can create a structure of systems and rules and blindly obey that system. It's bureaucratism. It's us making ourselves into gods and then raising something else up that we created to be our own god. And I really see us falling into that.
Davis,
And Lord help us if we actually got an effective artificial intelligence.
I think you're putting 2 + 2 together and getting like 5,000.
Yeah, you're kind of jumping a few steps here. This is like this is all too final, too what's the word I'm looking for? Fatalistic, I guess, is the word.
I'm just trying to reach out to my Calvinist brothers out there, you know?
No, I don't think Undertow or myself are it's not an attack on you. It's just that.
No, I know I am being really cynical. And you know what, Bechtloff, I think I'm going to. I need to like argue this a little bit more strongly. We've beaten the left. Now we just need to make sure we don't become them. We need to keep winning,
I
not
agree with
being
you.
right.
I agree with you, but I think you're making a mistake in looking for intergroup conflicts and saying, "See, we're failing already."
I think if anything,
Hold on 1 second, Bechtloff. What I'm trying to get at is that it's the responsibility of each individual to not fall into that. And if you see somebody that you know doing that, slap them and say, "Hey, don't be exactly what we're trying to replace." You can't give in to despair just because everyone's, the people who aren't that smart aren't thinking about it and are acting like the left did.
Well, I think the whole reason we have so many intergroup conflicts on the right is precisely because we are people who have standards. We're not the left. We don't.
Or we don't go around fucking dogs and saying, "Well, it doesn't affect you."
Yeah, we do shine the light on each other and say, "Hey, you shouldn't be doing that." And sometimes the person may be right or wrong about whether or not you should be doing it. But the point is, we have standards that we shine on each other. We say, "Hey, I don't agree with what that person's doing. I don't think you should be doing it or he should be doing it, whatever." And if anything, that can sometimes be a weakness with us because we're not as unified as our Borg-like adversaries. But also
in the long run, it's a strength because
in the long run, it is a strength because we are constantly holding each other accountable. We're constantly testing ideas against one another.
All right, well, let me toss an idea out there that I think everybody will agree with. I'm sick of these leftist wieners hiding behind lawyers and just making your life hell. And we don't do that because it's not worth our frickin' time to do it. Let's bring back dueling. You guys down for that?
There's an extremely good video by redonkulous.com. Terrence Pops, the guy, he's ex-military, who has a 10-minute video making this very argument. And Pops deserves all the love in the world. He's a fantastic guy.
Yeah, those videos are great. You should subscribe to his channel if you haven't already.
Actually, can you put the link in? Someone put the link in the comment section, please.
I will put a link up in the chat and then can go into the comment section. Yes.
I got a list of 4 or 5 people that I would happily challenge to a duel. And wouldn't that fix the whole Antifa thing?
Fuck. I would just love a cage match with some of those guys.
Wouldn't it be wonderful? One-on-one?
Yeah. Oh, I would love it.
Back when I wrote
for Antifas are listening to this right now, and you live in the greater Seattle area, look me up. I have my own channel. You can just, we'll do it.
When I wrote for Reaction, I challenged one of these fucking anti-Gamergate guys to a fucking actual fight. I was like, we can get a ref, we can do UFC stuff. Because he was all on Twitter like, I want to kick the ass of a Gamergater. So I wrote a reaction article where I was like, let's do it. Like maybe we could crowdfund to have the traveling expenses, but let's do it.
And he couldn't delete his account fast enough.
It's still
he
legal
blocked
in
me
Argentina.
on Twitter in a hurry.
Either Argentina or Brazil, dueling is legal. And so I'm just going to toss this out there. Anybody wants to have a pistol showdown with me? Buy me a ticket down to Argentina. I am more than happy to ventilate your filthy corpse.
Well, on that note, I think I'm going to wrap up this show on that note.
And what a resounding note it is.
And but yeah, this has been a great show. Thanks everybody for being on, Davis. John, Luke, Undertow, and Caller. Thanks for being on. Broken, I think you tag here. Everybody, do check out our sponsor, the independent comic Ojo Negro. Checking out the sponsors certainly helps me because that makes them remain sponsors. And also, any loving you could toss me in the old tip jar there would be greatly appreciated. And as I said before, I did a interview with State Representative Brian Cutler that's on my channel that went up Wednesday. Really great interview. I highly suggest checking it out. And also, there will be an additional programming this week. Even though I don't do the regular Wednesday show, there will be a Wednesday thing up this week too. So do check that out. There'll be more details on that as we get closer to it. And that's all I got for this week, folks. Thanks for listening. Bechtloff out.